do the web security education. It's a project and a course that we run at Pace University in downtown New York. And if any one of you is here for the web service talk, that's going to be downstairs. So I'm Professor Lin. I'll do the introduction as beginning, and my colleague, Professor Chen, will give a short demo about the toolkits that we developed. So here, I'll briefly mention about why we're doing this, talk about some of our partners and the architecture and teaching modules that we developed for these toolkits, what we call suite. And then talk about some of our evaluation plan, and we'll do a short demo to wrap it up. So here, the reason that we started to package a lot of the tools that we can find for web security is because most of the literature you find for web security and secure programming, those are actually for developers, for practitioners. But there are now a lot of things that we can readily use for undergraduate education. So that's why we're trying to find out how can we find the best tools and actually also develop very modular teaching modules that we can use. So what we have is this new toolkits that we package. So you'll be used to address this need for undergraduate security curriculum. And we package in VMware virtual appliance. And just like everyone else, we started this whole thing way back in the live CD platform. And then we gradually move it to VMware, the machine images. So, but then again, when you have in the VMware, the problem is that the image is still pretty big. We are talking about 4 GB of VMware image. So it's a little bit bigger than most of the flash drive that people will have for the 2G or 4G. So again, distribution might be a slight problem. So we actually load all those images on the laptops, so we can roll those laptops as a portable laboratory. So here, just to give you a brief introduction about what we are doing in security at Pace. So here, we are one of the Center of Academic Excellence, certified by the DoD and DHS. First started in 2004 and recertified again in 2007. And we have DoD supported labs with our own virtual infrastructure and also a couple grants that were supported by the DoD. In terms of curriculum, we have a graduate information assurance track that was shared by our MSIT and MSIS programs. And for undergraduate, we partner with our criminal justice majors, and we have this IA minor. And for the students, we have a couple of them actually have won the prestigious DoD scholarship award. So DoD will give them the full ride and board, and they will be guaranteed a job after they graduate. So this is a brief introduction. And also, of course, Owasp is a close partner with us. And what we mean by the open source software, we actually mean a lot of the Owasp tools. So here, for the toolkits that we develop, so underlying the OS, we can run it on both Windows and Linux. And we basically standardize on Fedora Linux VM. We also have another version that runs on Windows, but mostly we like Linux a little bit better. And on top of the web application layer, again, it's about how to integrate all those proxies and vulnerable web servers. We have like WebGo and Peros. So in this suite virtual appliance, we package quite a lot of stuff. So from the web application servers like the standard Apache and the Glassfish. And proxy, we have WebScale and Peros. We have some slight problem though with WebScale compatibility. So we mainly will run Peros today. And for web testing, we have WebGo and some .NET security toolkits. And again, all your standard programming language stacks, and the IDEs like Eclipse and NetBeans, and of course some of the libraries that students can find useful. So in order to package all those tools in our curriculum, that we kind of have to teach students from the ground up. So we have 8 modules that we are in the process of developing. So starting from the very basic, we start with web server installation and talk about the cookies session management. And then moving on to web service-oriented architecture for SOA type of standards like XML, WSDL, SOAP. And we talk about how do you configure a web service application. And then we move on to add security on top. So students will start by generating their own X.File9 certificates and then install these on an Apache web server. So this will be a foundation that they can use to do a lot of testing. And then for secure analysis and design, again, we start to introduce a secure development lifecycle with collapse, abuse case, risk analysis, and sec XML. And students will be doing a test for doing a secure requirement plan and conduct a risk analysis. So moving from analysis to implementation, we talk about the OWASP top 10 type of problems: SQL injection, buffer overflow, and how do you do code review with static analysis, risk-based testing, and all that. And again, there'll be testing on the WebGo server. For secure deployment in the field, that we have to address things like cross-site scripting, and talk about architecture risk analysis. And finally, we'll add a pen test at the end, and also stress testing. So we have tools that will send DDoS attacks to the servers and allow students to see how they can balance the load on our test server. And then we have special modules to talk about how do we secure the AJAX applications. So here, typically in education institution, we also care about the evaluation for all those projects. So here, so we have to talk about the conditions and practices to support a successful course development work, and also try to see if the modules that we develop actually help students in learning web security, and also talk about how our collaboration relationship with the industry can be improved throughout this process. So we have a couple of quantitative and qualitative measures that we develop over the course of the project. So mainly we'll be doing surveys with our students, and also with our faculty members. And then basically trying to get the numbers to see how much impact that our project has. So for the demos that we'll be doing, Professor Chen will come up to the podium to demo a little bit about the toolkits that we integrated together. So we'll load the VMware appliance, start Apache and WebGo, start Peros as a proxy, and then show some the WebGo modules. Thank you.
Hello, can everybody hear me? All right. Hi, my name is Chen, and then as my colleague Chienting has just mentioned, we designed this suite modules mainly for undergraduate web security education. Okay, so we have, although currently we have a lot of other toolkits or other software that actually widely used by the industry practitioner. However, it's very hard to package them together when we comes down to teach them to undergraduate students. Think about that. They probably have only very limited background on programming. They have some background on web programming or some background on HTML. So our purpose is to design something that's interesting, and then they would say, oh, okay, this is very interesting, and I want to spend some time to learn more about web security. Okay, so that's our motivation. And then for the modules that my colleague has just mentioned, we only have just started developing and putting things together. And then last semester, I actually has already tried one of these modules in one of our network security classes. And then students were all excited and say, oh, okay, what's happening here? And then sometimes they just see the results and say, oh, okay, I can hack into a website, and then what am I going to do about it? Okay, and then they started to get very interesting about web security problems and start to check out websites like Owasp or some other works, and then that's the purpose of this tool. So we are considering this tool can be portable, okay? So as my colleague has just mentioned, we can package them in one DVD, and then if we package both the Linux version and the Windows version together, that is about 4 GB. But the Linux version alone is around 2 GB. But if we add some other applications on the virtual machine, that's slightly more than 2 GB. And then we want to design these modules to be affordable, okay, which is very important for us because we have a very limited budget to develop things like this for educational purpose. So we are trying to make these things affordable. So virtual machine is one of the most affordable solutions that we can have, since once we develop the module, we can move it either to desktops or laptops, and even we have laptops, we can take it to different campuses. Case has multiple campuses. One of them is in downtown New York, the other one is in Pleasantville. So while we collaborate, we can develop this tool and then move it in either campuses that we want to use. For example, today I actually put the modules in this laptop. This is a pretty old laptop. I have used it for about 4 years now. Okay, so it only has 1 GB. So it runs a little bit slow on this machine since of the memory limitation. However, if you have about 2 GB of memory, it runs beautifully. Okay, so and the third reason we want to design this module is we want it to be flexible. As you can see that we have packaged a lot of open source web security tools and a lot of web programming tools. Actually, another professors in our department actually use this virtual machine to teach web programming class. Okay, so the same foundation they can use for a different purpose. And then we would like to have these modules to be extendable. Okay, so currently we have packaged Parallels, Web Scarab, and then WebGo on this virtual machine. However, we can give students this virtual machine for them to use as a project so that they can add on some other components in order to develop some other web security projects. Okay, so now I would like to do some very quick demonstration of the virtual machine package that we have. Okay, so on the window here, I actually has already booted up a Linux virtual machine. Okay, so it's in the Windows here, and then I has also booted up a Tomcat web server here. So you can see that when I connect to my local machine and 8080 port, I can see the Apache, the default homepage. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is to start up Parallels. So basically, WebGo is a web server that is based on Tomcat. Okay, and then with a lot of security educational add-ons, which is developed by Owasp. And then once you have this, you can use another tools called either Parallels or Web Scarab. You can use that as a proxy server. So while you're running the web applications, you can use the proxy to actually monitor web traffic. Okay, so in this case, we can show students web traffic can be intercepted, and then people can, if your content is not encrypted, you can see the content in plain text. So So I have this here, and then I'm going to run another terminal to open up the Paros. Okay, and then I'm going to start up Paros servers, which is implemented by Java. Okay, one of the issues that we have encountered while we're putting all these open source tools together is that you often encounter version compatibility problem. Okay, while you have Paros, you have WebGoat, and sometimes they are developed at different time, and then they are based on different JDK, and then sometimes it works with this version of JDK, but it doesn't work with another version of JDK. So it takes a lot of time to figure out which version is the right version. And usually, we were thinking about using WebScaler, but somehow we have encountered some problems with JDK on a particular version of WebScaler. So you would, if you are going to put this kind of open source tool together, this is one of the major problems that you would encounter. So when I start Paros, now you can see that it's a proxy server. Okay, so what I have to do right now is to direct my web browser to the proxy server, okay, so that the proxy server will be able to intercept the web traffic. So students can observe the web traffic while they are running this virtual machine. So I set the proxy to the local host, okay, and 8008 is the port used by Paros. Okay, as you can see now, my screen is pretty small, so that's why I have to scroll up and down. Okay, all right, so once I did that, I'm going to start up the WebGo server. Well, I'm going to connect to the WebGo server. Actually, I has already started up. Okay. Oops. Hold on a second.
You actually missed that.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Pardon? Okay. All right. So now it works. Right. I believe some of you have used WebGo before, right? Was it? Okay. So I was able, fortunately, I was able to start the WebGo server. Okay. Well, actually, the server has already started. I just used the web browser to connect to the server. However, the traffic actually is monitored by Paros over here. Okay. So if you go to Paros and click on this, you can see all the web traffic, the contents of the web traffic. Okay. By doing that, you can actually do some kind of injection or observe the plain text in the web traffic. You can do all kind of tricks in class, okay, and all in one machine. So you can give every student one virtual machine, and then they can connect to the web server, and then they can monitor the web traffic just in one machine. So you won't have security concern about students monitoring somebody else's web traffic, right? And then we can do that in an isolated security lab, which is very important for us, okay, because we don't want students to monitor somebody else's web traffic. Okay. All right, and then so I'm just going to demo some very basic functions of a WebGoat. As you can see here, okay, sorry. As you can see here, once I start WebGoat, okay. Okay, WebGoat actually is quite convenient. It has a lot of exercise implemented already, right? As you can see on the left-hand side. So, for example, if you click on injection flows, you can see a lot of common injection flows that we have discussed. Okay, over here, such as SQL injection and then all different types of SQL injection, right? So basically, we use some of them in the class, and some of them are more complicated. And we usually show something that's simpler to start with, and then give the rest for the students as project if they want to do something additional to the simple ones. Okay, so let me show one of the very simple web Go demonstration called SQL injection, string SQL injection. Okay, so basically, this example shows that you have a website, right, that asks you to enter your username, sometimes password, so that you can access your data in the database, right? So, but SQL injection basically exploit that flow. If you don't do a boundary check on the input condition, as it shown here, you can actually inject something tricky. So, for example, if you do something like this, I'm searching for my name, and then, or 1 equal to 1, which is you can list all the data in the database, right? So for example, if you select something from the database where the last name is Chen, or 1 equal to 1, the where condition is always true. So when you do that, and if somebody developed a web server which didn't do a check on the SQL command, you will end up with.
You have to restart the lesson?
No, I just press go. Oh, okay, I have to restart the next one.
There's a link in the upper right that says restart lesson.
Oh, okay,
That's that.
sorry. Oh, restart this lesson. Thank you very much. I try it before I come to the presentation. Make sure that it really works. Okay. Okay, so if I do that. Okay. So you would get all the names and data in that particular table. So this is the one very simple trick that we show in the security exercise. Usually we have, in a class like this, usually we give about 2 hours lectures and talks about web security, and then give students some review about SQL commands, all right? So make sure that they have enough foundation to understand why this is a vulnerability, okay? And then we give them like an hour or hour and a half to do this kind of exercise. All right, and usually we give them step-by-step instructions, and then at the end of semester, we will assign students to do a project, so they can decide to expand from here or do something else that's related. Okay, and then the next thing I would like to show is something called cross-site scripting, just to give you a very simple ideas about how does that work. And then, so if you are students in a classroom, it will probably won't take you too much time to do that. However, that gets you into some thinking about, okay, what's going on here, and then what have I to learn in order to understand it. So for example, for cross-site scripting, you really have to understand something about JavaScript, and you have to understand about web server administration. So cross-site scripting, and then, okay, I'm going to show this thing called store cross-site scripting. Maybe I should restart this lesson as well. Okay, so for example, if this actually shows an example for example, either a news group or a site which you can post your messages, or such as sites on e-commerce websites which you can post messages and somebody else can click on the messages. So the attacker can actually tailor the message in a way that redirect your command to a different website, a malicious website, which leads you to do something else. You think that's a genuine website. So what I'm going to try here is Owasp testing. Okay, suppose that I'm posting a message here, and then and the message is actually written in JavaScript. And that takes a little bit of time to tie it up. Okay, and then if somebody actually click on this message, you can actually redirect this the message to a different website or show something else. And here, I'm just going to show a warning message to tell them, okay, you are hacked or something, and then so the users or students will be alert by what they have done. So I'm just going to say you are hacked. Okay, so that's basically what I have, script languages, and then JavaScript, text JavaScript. All right, okay, that's submitted. Okay, and then this message will show on the message list. Okay, if somebody come across to this message and happen to type on this message, that would actually shows the action that's redirected by the JavaScript. Okay, so here is open up just an alert window showing that, okay, you have done something wrong. Okay, and but for malicious attacker, they will redirect the message to a malicious website. So this just to give your students a sense about what could be happening, and then so they would go back and look, okay, so how do I develop JavaScript in here? And then how do I prevent things like this from happening? Okay, so that's the whole purpose of this exercise.
So do you make your students sign a form saying that they will
Yes.
give you tasks?
Yes, yes, I do. I ask them to do that at the beginning of the semester. So I actually give them something called white hat oath, and then give them some conduct of ethics, so that several pages that things that they should know. And in addition, we actually, in our curriculum, we have a security overview class and network security class, which is more advanced class. In the security overview class, we have 1 week that mainly talk about information security laws and regulations and ethics, so that they have a better sense about what they should do and then what should they have to be avoided.
Now, how many attacks are in the school do you guys actually get through in a semester?
You mean? You mean how many students?
How many attacks?
Oh, how many attacks I get I use in the classroom?
Yeah.
Okay. In a 1.5 hour lab exercise, I can only package into about 3 to 4 different types, and then that's enough for them to digest. So and then
One session?
yeah, that's one session for a week. Yeah. So like 3 or 4 small things like this. But if for something more complicated, you probably, well, I probably only package like two of them, and then so that they can figure out what's going on. And sometimes some of the attacks actually takes longer time to exploit, and then some of them is a little confusing, especially while we're using WebGo here. Some of the attacks is not very straightforward. Okay, for example, they have to observe the traffic from Paros or WebScarab, and then they have to go back and forth several different interfaces, which will confuse students a lot, especially for students who are not technical savvy. That takes a lot of time for them to digest.
Do you use other applications other than WebGo?
For web security class, so far we only have a WebGo, WebScarab, Paros, and then we have a .NET toolkit that's on the Windows virtual machine. And then we are actually looking for something else as well. If anyone have any suggestions, please let us know so that we can package the most up-to-date tools and applications into our security package. Yeah. Any other questions? And we also actually looking for partners to develop these modules. So if anyone is interested in being our partners, you're welcome to talk to us, and then so that we can make these modules more close to the industry needs, so that our students will be able to learn the most up-to-date knowledge from the industry practitioners. All right. Anything you want to add? All right, so that's about it. Thank you very much.